Hello everyone and welcome to English Vanessa. In today's video, we are going to discuss the method of scientific investigation by Thomas Henry Huxley. So here we'll explore how scientific thinking works, why Huxley compares a baker, a butcher and a chemist, and how we all use scientific methods in our daily lives, sometimes without even realizing it. So stay with me till the end of this video. So now let's dive into this fascinating topic. But before that, let us discuss about the author Thomas Henry Huxley. Thomas Henry Huxley was a British biologist, educator, and advocate of Darwin's theory of evolution. He was known as Darwin's bulldog for his defense of evolutionary theory. Huxley was also a skilled science communicator, promoting the importance of scientific reasoning and education. Now let's discuss the summary of the method of scientific investigation by Thomas Henry Huxley. So Thomas Henry Huxley, a 19th century scientist and advocate of Darwin's theory of evolution, discusses the logical process behind scientific discovery in the method of scientific investigation. He explains that how scientists use observation, classification, reasoning, and hypothesis testing to uncover the truth. Here he argues that the scientific method is not exclusive to scientists, means it is not limited to scientists. Rather, it is a way of thinking that can be applied to everyday life. So, in his discussion, he explained the method of scientific investigation. He emphasizes that scientific investigation is a structured process. It consists of observation, classification, inductive reasoning, deductive reasoning, and hypothesis testing. Let's see one by one in detail. So, observation is nothing but it's a carefully examining facts and recording the details. And classification is nothing but it's grouping similar observations together to find patterns. And inductive reasoning is nothing but drawing general conclusions from a specific observations. We'll discuss each one in detail. And deductive reasoning means applying general principles to specific cases. And hypothesis testing, it is proposing explanations and verifying them through experiments. So, this systematic approach ensures that conclusions are based on evidence rather than assumptions. Means people cannot assume anything, they have to experience with that, they have to go through the experience to conclude anything. So, Huxley explained this by mentioning a baker, a butcher, and a chemist. Here, Huxley uses the example of a baker and a butcher and also a chemist to illustrate that everyone in some way follows a scientific process in their daily work. Like, for example, here a baker. He carefully measures ingredients to ensure consistency in baking. And if we see the butcher, he weigh meat accurately to provide fair pricing to customers. And in the same way, a chemist, he analyzes substances to determine their composition. So through these examples, Huxley suggests that the scientific method is not limited to professional scientists. It is a logical approach which is used in everyday life with everybody. So he uses one more example where he explained chemist complex analysis, which is similar to and different from a butcher weighing goods. So let's see similarities and differences one by one. So here first we have the similarities. What are the similar things that they both have? So both the chemist and the butcher, they rely on precision and accurate measurements. Means here a butcher also measure its meat in the same way a chemist also measure its chemical. And each follows a systemic method to complete their work correctly. They both rely on tools, means a scale for the butcher and laboratory instrument for the chemist. Now, if we talk about the differences, so a butcher's task is straightforward. He weighs meat using a simple scale, which gives an immediate result. Whereas a chemist's task is more complex. He must carefully analyze chemical reactions and interpret results that are not always visible or immediate. So a chemist tests hypothesis, whereas a butcher follows a fixed routine. So through this comparison, Huxley highlights that while different professions require different levels of complexity, but the fundamental process of careful observation and reasoning remain the same. So here people assume that the mind of a scientist which is different from that of ordinary people. But here Huxley argues that a scientist's mind is not inherently different from that of ordinary people. Instead, the difference lies in how a scientist applies careful observation, logical reasoning, and systematic analysis to solving problems. Like he agrees that scientists are trained to question assumption and test ideas, which may not be common in everyday thinking. And they have specialized knowledge and tools that allow them to investigate complex problems. Whereas ordinary people, they also apply the scientific method in their daily life. For example, when troubleshooting a phone issue, or checking if food is spoiled or not, or comparing prices while shopping. So, scientific thinking is not limited to scientists, it is a skill that anyone can develop. So, Huxley's argument implies that anyone, if trained properly, can think scientifically in their own field. So, to prove that scientific method is used by everybody, no matter whether he is a scientist or a normal person, he gave examples of inductive and deductive reasoning in everyday life. So, here let's see first inductive reasoning from specific to general. So, here you can see in the picture a child, he notices that every time they touch a hot stove, they get burned. So, they conclude all stoves are hot and should not be touched. So here we can see after observation a child stop himself to touch burning stove. So here a normal person also using scientific method. And here the second picture here we have you can see a student. Here a student observe that every time they study late at night they feel tired the next day. So, what they conclude? They conclude that studying late always leads to tiredness. So, here also a student did something based on his observation. Now, if we talk about the deductive reasoning, that is from general to specific. So here first we start with the general rule. So, here all birds have feathers. So, if we applied an application, that means a parrot is a bird because it has feathers. And the next here we have exercise improves health. Now, if we apply that, so it could be if I exercise regularly, my health will improve. So, both types of reasoning are essential in daily decision making and how we are making our decisions based on our observations. Even though we are not scientists, but based on our observation, we are using scientific method to make decisions. Further, he gave some examples of common people who use the scientific method in their daily tasks. For example, a cook. Here, a cook measures ingredients carefully. That means he is doing here what? Observation and classification. And he adjusts the recipe based on past experiences that call inductive reasoning means when a child is stopping himself to touch a burning stove, that means he's using inductive reasoning, that means based on the past experiences he learned something. So in the same way a cook, he also adjusts recipes based on the past experiences. So here he is using scientific method. And also he predicts how a dish will turn out means based on known cooking principles. So that's called deductive reasoning, means how the dish would be, a tasty dish or a useless dish. One more example is a mechanic. So mechanic, what he does, he listen to a car's engine noise to diagnose a problem. What he is doing here, he is doing observation. Then he compares with previous cases to determine possible causes. Now, here he's using classification and inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning, again, he is using the past experiences to diagnose the problem and test a possible solution and check if the car runs smoothly. What he's doing here, he's using the hypothesis testing. Means here he is using assumption, but assumption is based on the experiment. In the same way, he gave one more example, that is a doctor. A doctor examines symptoms, means observe the person, a victims, and he groups symptoms into categories to diagnose disease. Means he is using classification here. And he uses medical knowledge to suggest treatment. Now he is using deductive reasoning here. And he monitors the patient's response and adjusts treatment if needed. That's called hypothesis testing. He's doing hypothesis testing. Means here he is assuming if he take this medicine he would be all right. So here using hypothesis testing. So these all examples shows that scientific thinking is not exclusive to laboratories. It is a part of everyday life and problem solving. So, Huxley, the method of scientific investigation, teaches that science is not about memorizing facts, but about learning how to think logically and methodically. So, the scientific method is a universal process that can be applied to any profession or daily task by using careful observation, logical reasoning, and systematic experimentation, like we do every time in our daily life, every day. So, here we learn that anyone can think scientifically and make better decisions. So this is all for today's video. I hope it would be helpful for you. Stay tuned for more videos and thanks for watching.